Hello and welcome to my video where I'm going to show you how to make a decorative felt and burlap pumpkin. This is a fun autumnal project and is very quick and easy to make. You will need the following: some material. You can use one material or two or three or as many as you like, it really doesn't matter. In fact, the more textures you have in the ornament, the cozier it's going to look. Whatever material you do use should be double-sided, and that's because we're going to be seeing both sides of the material in this project. You also want the material to not fray messily around the edges when you cut it. Felt is perfect for this, as well as fleece, burlap, or even a thin and flexible leather. You can also decide to use as many different colours as you like. I'm going to be using a kind of orangey brown thin felt, some light grey 3mm thick felt, which is quite sturdy, and also some natural coloured burlap. As well as the material, you're going to need a piece of paper, a pen, a disappearing fabric pen, a pair of scissors, a tree branch, some super glue, and some twine. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is decide how big we want the pumpkin to be and to make a paper template. I've already cut my tree branch to the same height as I want my finished pumpkin to be, and you'll need to do the same. Lay the tree branch next to a piece of paper and decide how high on the branch you want the body of the pumpkin to come up to, and then mark this position on the paper. You then need to decide on the width of the pumpkin. So to do this, I just roughly sketched out half a pumpkin shape. I tried to make this as in proportion with the branch as possible. I then doubled the shape and marked the position, and this gives me the full width of the pumpkin. Sketch out a rectangle shape using the marks that you've made on the paper, and then cut this rectangle out. Don't worry, it doesn't have to be particularly accurate. Then fold this rectangle in half. Next, draw half a pumpkin shape on one half of this piece of paper, imagining that the centre of the pumpkin lies on the fold. Then cut along this line, making sure that you cut through both layers of paper. This will give you a symmetrical pumpkin shape. If you're not happy with the shape, then now is the time to change it. And now you need to use this template to cut out either 8 or 12 pieces of material. I'm going to be cutting out 4 pieces from this thin orangey brown felt, and then 4 pieces from some burlap. So to begin, I folded over one edge of the felt and made sure that the folded over section was at least as wide as the template. I then put the paper on top of the felt and made sure that the fold in the felt lined up with the fold in the paper. Draw around the template using your disappearing fabric pen, and then cut along this line, making sure that you cut through both layers. Make sure that you keep the fold in the same place. You can use a sewing pin to briefly attach these layers together if it makes it easier for you. Once I had cut out 4 pieces of felt, I then cut out 4 pieces of burlap. Because burlap likes to shed tiny little fibres, it's good to have a lint roller on hand to clean up the felt and the work surface. As you can see here, I now have 8 pumpkin shapes. I would recommend stacking the pieces into piles like this and making sure that they're all orientated the same way. We're now going to glue these pieces to the tree branch. So apply a line of super glue most of the way up the branch. Then take one piece of folded material and push the fold onto the glue. Hold the material in place for a short while before laying it down on the work surface. Then do exactly the same to attach another piece of material to the opposite side of the branch. I like to leave each pair about 5 minutes to partially dry before moving on to the next pair. Then repeat the process to add another pair of fabric pieces, this time at 90 degrees to the ones you've already added. And this is what your pumpkin will look like so far. I now need to add a burlap pumpkin piece between each of the felt pieces. So again, I do the exact same thing and apply super glue first, and then push the fold of the burlap piece into the glue. And I do this 4 times. The resulting pumpkin will look like this. I then decided to add a third colour to the pumpkin, and this time I used some thick 3mm felt. Because this felt is nice and thick and sturdy, you can't really fold it very easily, so I'm just going to use one single layer. So I used the template again to cut out 4 half pumpkin shapes. These pieces are thick enough to just apply the glue along the edge, like so. And then I just stuck each shape in the centre of each of the felt pieces on the branch. If you wanted to make a variation of this pumpkin, you could just use the 3mm felt and stick half pumpkin shapes all around the branch, rather than folding the pieces in half. To finish, all I did was cut out a piece of twine and then hold it so that the branch was in the middle. Then I wrapped each end of the twine a few times around the branch and tied a small bow. If you don't have any twine, you could use ribbon or string instead. And that's it, that's the pumpkin finished. I really hope you've enjoyed this project, and thank you very much for watching.